we was doing like schools, like 3 schools a day, like assemblies,
Really?
and it was like 3,000 kids every time. You know what I mean? So
Wow.
I got video of it, but
I saw, like, I saw, that's what I'm saying. Like, I saw some of that online. Yes. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the SOC University podcast. I'm your host, Adam Duty. Today, we got a special guest in the building. But before we get to the special guest, of course, this podcast is dedicated to anyone who wants to be self-made, self-paid, while boosting their personal career, brand, or business. But most importantly, maintaining your mental health. Again, back to our special guest, Jace Bombero. Make some noise for Jace Bombero.
What's up? How you doing? Shalom.
What's up, man? Shalom.
Shalom. Peace.
Okay. I would say I don't even know.
Peace be unto you.
I didn't even know what that is. But no, man, I'm long time coming. Y'all have no idea how long I've been trying to get this man to do this interview. It's been a while and a long time coming. So first of all, I appreciate that. Definitely appreciate that. But on this episode, basically what I want to talk about, for those that don't know, let me back up. This is a musical artist, right? He's done several different things. He's been nominated for awards. He's traveled overseas. He has a good Instagram following. He's done several shows, right? So this episode is dedicated to anyone that's trying to basically get into the music business.
Okay.
Right? So on our season, it's the freshman season. So we do it freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. So this is like the beginning stages of anybody in like the entertainment field or entrepreneurship, because that's basically what it is.
Okay.
So just want to pick your brain, learn about some things, have general conversation, but basically want to get into it. But so we'll start, like, tell me about like how you started in the music industry. Like what happened?
I don't know. I just saw, like other people doing music, and I thought music to me was interesting from the jump. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be in my room just copying people or what I hear on the radio. You know what I mean? And and growing up in the church all the time, there's a lot of singing. You know that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's it. My dad had a record, stereo, old record, showing my age now, old record in there. And he had some old gospel and old reggae stuff that
Yeah.
just played it and listened to it, you know?
Right. I think that's where a lot of it starts, like when we're young, like listening to a lot of music. What do you listen to now? That's the question. What do you listen to now? Is it like a mixture?
It's a mixture of everything. I mean,
Okay.
from pop to reggae to R&B to rap
Okay.
to gospel. It don't matter. I just, whatever sounds good to me, you know what I mean? So,
I agree with that. Not limiting like what you listen to,
nah.
whatever sounds good. Do you think, before we get into the more like tough question, but do you think that like what you listen to now or anything what you listen to kind of influence your sound a little bit? Because the reason why I say that is because sound is completely different. It's different than anything I've ever heard of, and it sounds very original, which is refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds really good. It doesn't sound like nothing I've ever heard before.
So what
Right.
it is a mixture of all that I grew up with. Gospel, reggae, R&B, rap,
Okay.
all that kind of stuff. A mixture of, I'm a product of that kind of music, you know what I
Gotcha.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I just only, it started to come out. Instead of trying to be something else, I tried to be what's true to me, you know what I mean? So
Okay. Do you think so for newer artists, right, that see all this stuff on TV, they see all these videos, they see these Instagram posts, they see, YouTube videos, how important do you think that is to stay like authentic or true to like yourself?
it's always important to be authentic to who you are, because fads just fade away. Then
true.
you be trying to look for something else after that.
That's
trying
true.
to copycat. You know what I mean? Do you want Louis or a knockoff Louis? Think about it. At the end of the day, do you want a Louis or a knockoff Louis? So if
Talking
you're
about a bag, a Louis bag, for those that don't know.
so if you're original,
Yeah.
you know, people want the original, not the copycat.
Got it.
They'll settle
Right.
for a copycat, but their heart wants the original. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So a lot of times when we listen to artists that sound the same, we're settling for who they are and not their authentic.
I didn't even
You
think
know?
about that. I didn't even think about that. Okay. So for those that's listening, listen closely. We're playing a song in the background, and we'll get to that too. But when you started, what was your sound when you started?
It was like rap. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Kind of East Coast, New York style rap. That's how because that's the first music that I heard. You know what I mean?
Got it. So what would you say your sound is like now?
Right now it's more Afro pop, Afro fusion, Caribbean gospel, all of that mixed up. You know what I mean?
Okay. So what made you, with that, like what made you transition from the rap or hip hop to the style that you have now? Because again, it's different than anything I've ever heard. But
So-
it's very catchy. It's really good.
So thank you. So originally, COVID hit, and
Okay.
we couldn't do anything. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I bought some recording equipment when I sold my Dodge Charger,
Okay.
and I was in the house trying to do something. What is me? What is my roots and all that? And I
Okay.
came up with this song called Pressure.
Okay.
And I sent it to different people, and they was like, "Oh, that's nice. That's nice. I never heard nothing like that." You know what I mean? So, and that's how it happened. And I couldn't hold a note before. You know what I mean? I couldn't hold a note. But a producer, rest in peace, Tim Newhouse.
Got it. Tim
He
Newhouse.
he helped me, develop,
Okay.
my vocal cords and all of that. You know what I mean? And
I didn't know you went through all of that.
yes.
Wow. So take me through your like writing process, and when you're writing, and do you go off like, do you make the chorus first? Do you try to find the right beat first? Are you writing things down? Are you just going in there and just take 1, 2, just doing it? Like what are you? What's your process?
Okay, so my process has changed. When I was rapping,
Uh-huh.
I was writing. So now I don't even write. I just go in the studio and just whatever I say, it comes out that way.
Got it.
And then maybe later I might fix it a little bit. But all my music now is organic. It's nothing written down.
I love that. I love that. And you can hear, like, that's what I'm saying. That's probably why, well, not probably why, but probably has a lot to do with your sound too. That instead of it premeditated, I guess that's the word for it. You just go in there and just listen to the music and just do it from there. I can see that. So Pressure is the song that you were talking about, which is one of my favorites that you have. Do you remember making that song?
I do not remember the actual recording of the song,
You recorded so many.
but I remember, it being the one where I'm like, let me see what people think about it.
Got
A
it.
small group of people, not everybody. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You need that group that's gonna be honest with you as
Yeah.
an artist. You need some people that not be like, hey, yeah, that's tight, that's tight. You need somebody to say, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Be honest with you.
Yep.
I ain't that emotional, so I can take it if you don't like it. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but and once I noticed like people at my job, people at home, and all that, it was like universal that they like it. Because before I used to make a song and then put it out
Right.
and be like, yeah, that's the song. But you know how many songs artists go through before they find that one?
That one, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So
Okay. So let's go back to like starting as a brand new artist, right?
Okay.
I don't want to go all the way back.
yes, sir.
But if you yes, sir. If you had to go all the way back, like, or give advice to somebody that's just starting off as like an independent artist. So are you independent? Are
I
you
am
major?
independent.
You're independent. Okay.
I'm independent.
So if you can give advice to an artist that's just brand starting off, right? They don't know where to start. They don't know if they're like, I need to get equipment first, or I need to get beats, or I need to do like shows or open mics, whatever. What would be like the first couple of tips or steps that you would give them, like starting off as a new artist?
My first tip would be, if I could start all over, is be by yourself and do your music, and just develop who you are.
Okay.
You know, and after you do it about 100 times, 150 times, you find out a pattern that you'll see. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You know what I mean? So you send it to other people. Initially, they're gonna be like, you should do this, you should do this, or you should do this.
Yeah.
You know, and then that takes away from your authenticity.
Right.
You know, so
Absolutely.
that's what I say. Just hone your craft
Yeah.
by yourself. Just like working out, you go somewhere and work out. Go somewhere and do your music. You know.
Okay. And what would you explain, like, or how would you describe the look of an artist, right? And the reason why I say that is because a lot of people feel like they have to look a certain way or do something. Do you feel like that should be more organic, or people like want to see something? Or how would you like give advice to an artist on their like wardrobe or their style or how it is?
So you usually will get, it's stereotyped to have chain and all that, your hat and
Yeah.
dress to the nine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That attracts a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it depends on your audience. Does your audience care about that?
Yep.
If your audience don't care about it, there's no need for
Correct.
to do that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's how I feel about it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
my trademark is sunglasses all the time. You know what I
Right.
mean?
I like those shades, by
Thank
the
you. I
way.
appreciate it.
That was dope. I like those.
So
He's got to get me. I need to have a pair before prescription, by the way.
yeah, prescription style. You know?
But you're okay. But you know what, to me though, when I think about that, like, and the reason why I'm asking that question, because a lot of times people think they need to start a certain way, especially a newer artist, right? They might think they need certain things to get started, when actual reality you don't, right? And I know that a lot of the artists that I see that are successful either way, people might not like this statement, but they don't have all that stuff on.
No, they don't.
They don't have all that stuff
No.
on, right? They don't. It's very, I guess the word is minimalist, I guess. It's very basic. So that's why I was asking you that question, because I know some people are like, well, I don't have this or I don't have that. I'm going to wait till it's perfect before I even start.
Yeah. So trust me, I went through that stage, and you can see my hallway is a whole bunch of shoes, a whole bunch of clothes that I don't even wear. You know what I mean? A whole bunch of jewelry, all of that. But,
Yeah.
But it's more than that. At the end of the day, how do you see? The thing is, everybody wants to fit in when you're supposed to stand out.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how do you stand out? You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
And as long as you in your lane, you got to figure out what is your lane.
So I was about to ask you too.
You know what I mean? So stay in your lane. Whatever's your lane, whatever, God-given gifts you got,
Yeah.
use them. Don't use somebody else's.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So I stay in my lane, because think about it. Racetrack and what other gas station? Name another gas station.
Right. I can't really think of majority of them, but I know racetrack. I do know racetrack.
Racetrack
7-Eleven.
and BP
BP.
could be across the street from each other.
Yeah.
And they still getting money. How is that?
Right.
Because they have a certain thing over here, and if people like that, go to that.
Go to that one.
If you like the other one, go to that one. They still getting theirs. They staying in their lane.
Dropping gems. I like that.
So
Dropping gems. So as far as like target audience, back to like the music and the type of music that you make, or the type of music that a new artist would make, right? Or thinking that they gotta make a certain type of artist, or sorry, thinking that they have to make a certain type of music. With how do you find, like, you specifically, how do you find like your target audience?
okay, so how I find my target audience is kind of like the kind of style of music I do. You know what I mean? Is some kind of category. You can put it in some kind of category.
Okay.
And then you find artists that are similar to that category.
Okay.
And then when you do, you look at who follows them.
Got it.
And you kind of like add those people. And so when you add those people, they'll decide if, you fit that category or not. You know what I
Got
mean?
it.
So that's how I grow my Instagram and my, social media that way.
Got it. I like that. I hope y'all heard that. He is giving y'all some gems right now.
So on Instagram, you can go and it'll show you where your audience, where people are looking at it. Like most of my people are from Nigeria, Ghana,
That's crazy.
Jamaica,
That's
and
crazy.
all that. And then you focus your attention on that.
That's
I might have
crazy.
not been focusing on them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's where the audience is. You
That's
know what I mean?
crazy.
So that's how I.
How does that feel to have like a lot of fans overseas like that? Like, what? How does that feel?
I mean, it feels better to me
Yeah.
than people in
Wow.
the United States. You know what I mean?
Why do you say that?
I don't know. Maybe because I'm Caribbean, but
Okay.
the other thing is that I think other countries are hungry for authenticity. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they kind of gravitate to that. You know what I mean? So
Okay. Speaking about overseas, like you did go overseas, right?
Jamaica, yeah.
Jamaica. He went to Jamaica. I still haven't been to Jamaica. I've been to the Dominican Republic. That's the farthest I've been. But how did that even, let's talk about that. Like, cause I know a lot of artists, some artists have a certain following in the US. But then overseas, it's a whole different
Yeah,
ball
it's a
game.
whole different ball
and you can
game,
make
I mean.
a lot of money over
Yes,
there
you
if
can.
that's your thing. They said yes, you can.
Yes, you can. I'm just saying. Yes.
So how did that even happen?
So I went on a small mission trip,
Okay.
and it was a couple artists that went. Actually, it was two artists that went,
Okay.
and the guy in Jamaica, in Maypen, Jamaican. Shout out to Maypen, Jamaica. But there's a pastor there who knows everybody on the island.
Really?
So we was doing schools, 3 schools a day, assemblies,
Really?
and it was 3,000 kids every time. You know what I mean? So
Wow.
I got video of it, but
I saw that's what I'm saying. Like I saw some of that online. Like he's literally going through and walking through, and that was in the beginning. You're walking through,
Yeah.
but then when you're doing it, there's a whole bunch of kids at the bottom.
Yeah.
They're at the top.
Yeah, it's all around.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Dang.
3 of those a day for 5 days.
Wow.
So
Wow. Just in case y'all didn't hear that, understand that, I repeat that. He said did shows overseas. He was in Jamaica. He was doing some schools,
yeah.
and he was doing 3 shows a day for 5 days, about 3,000 kids or more. It's video of it online too. Like I said, I seen it. I was like, that's crazy to do that.
And that made me think it's a whole new world out here. I'm trying
Yep.
to please everybody in Atlanta,
Yeah.
doing stuff that Atlanta likes. When
Yeah.
the world is way bigger than that.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And that opened my eyes, man. I ain't, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
And it's funny too, because even with that'll be one of my next things, because I think a lot of artists, especially when they sound different, like you said, fitting in, sometimes people are ahead of their time, right? And I think a lot of your music is ahead of its time, right? So that sometimes people have to catch up to you, right? Or sometimes people have to go away or go somewhere else to get the recognition that maybe that they were kind of shooting for. It doesn't mean that they were not good or their music wasn't good. Sometimes people are just stuck and they want to hear the old stuff, right? I'm not gonna lie, I tell them sometimes too. I want to hear something because it was good all the way around. But yeah, I think that's a great thing. So what's some new things that's happening with you right now?
So right now, I'm working on my brand,
Okay.
like shirts and all that kind of stuff right now.
Okay. So wait, hold let me stop you real quick. The name. How did you come up with the name? Because you said my brand, and initially I thought about your name because I've never heard a name like that before, or the spelling or anything. Like, how did that
Okay.
happen? Because that is your brand.
Yes. So, Bombero is not my last name.
Okay.
I play volleyball with Panamanians,
Okay.
and so they was hard to say my name, but they knew my occupation, which
Yeah.
is Bombero means firefighter in Spanish. So so they say Bombero, Bombero, Bombero. You know.
Got you.
So
That's dope, man.
so I was like, put it together.
That is dope.
You know what I mean? So it's stuck ever since then. And all my songs, I always say that in the beginning. That's
Yep.
a brand.
Bombero. Yes, absolutely. Learning new thing. I didn't even know that. That's tight though. That is because that's definitely authentic when you talk about branding. So back to that, like you said, working on your brand. Like, what do you mean as far as working on your brand? Like, how are you?
Like shirts, working
Okay.
on shirts and what to say and all that, because that is important. A lot of times, artists get their money from their merchandise
Okay.
and not just doing concert or
Yep.
music off Spotify or all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah. And that is true. Like, especially entrepreneurship, if you are to the point where you're looking to make money, which I think you should, different ways of making the money. Shows, you mentioned merch, you mentioned stuff like that. Doing things like this too as well. Interviews, podcasts, radio shows.
going overseas, making them.
Going back to that again.
No.
I need to get some overseas money. Definitely. And you know what? Shout out to some of the people that are listening to this podcast. There's actually people in like England and stuff like that
Okay.
listening, and I've never thought.
Shout out to England.
I was like,
That's next for me.
I was like, what? But I mean, I guess that's what happens, right? And right, I'm learning some things from you already, talking about that, like going over there to the next level. I think that's great. So where do you see yourself like at the end of this year? Like, when you're like looking at your career and where you're at, are you planning out certain things like, hey, I want to do this by this time, I want to be here by the end of the year, next month, or at the middle of the year I want to do this and that? Do you plan out anything, or you kind of like let it?
No, I just pray about every situation. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And the best place to be is in God's will. 'Cause
Absolutely.
when you try to do it yourself,
Yeah.
many years I've been trying to do this myself,
Yeah.
and if I just sit back and say, okay, where do you want me to be at?
Yeah.
Then you see everything opening up for you, man.
Absolutely.
It's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. So, and speaking to that, and I'm glad you said that, because a big thing about our show, our podcast, is mental health,
yes.
right? So, how important would you say just belief or believing in yourself or speaking things into existence, especially as being an artist? Like, there's gonna be times when you're like you said, you're by yourself, right? Or people don't want to hear your music, or they're not into that. How important would you say it is, like, maintaining that mental health or speaking things into existence or being positive when the things around you are not
So
positive.
you have to be positive with yourself. You actually got to speak to yourself. Think about it. The world was put into existence by God saying, "Let there be
Let there
light."
be light.
So words are powerful.
Listen,
So
listen.
we need to take a second before we say stuff, because all our lives we've been saying stuff and didn't even know the power of our words.
Yep,
For instance, my back is killing me.
yep.
You know what I mean? I'm sorry. Instead of I
Telling the
apologize.
truth.
I'm just
Telling the
speaking.
truth. Yep.
So we have to speak this,
Telling the
you
truth.
know, to ourselves,
Yeah.
because God already has who we are. We just got to catch up to who we are. And we got to
Absolutely.
speak that, over ourselves. Like, don't get me wrong, I get depressed and have mental issues,
Yep.
all that. The easiest thing for me as an artist is to be able to put that on record.
Tapping into that.
Not only what I'm going through, is how I got out of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you think about it, Handle the Pressure. Pressure was the first song. It's like I was feeling the type of way.
That makes perfect sense.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's such a joyful song, but it's talking about how the pressure I had on the oppressed I was feeling, depressed I was feeling, and how I made it out. You know what I mean? So
That makes a lot of sense. So something it just made me think of it. Something my dad told me, and back to what you were saying.
okay.
First, one of my mentors was telling me that one of the most important things you have to master is master the art of talking to yourself. Because you're gonna talk to yourself more than anybody talks to you. You're gonna talk to yourself. So when he said that to me, I was like, dang, I never even thought about that. Just master talking to myself and speaking things into existence and talking about things. But my dad would tell me, like, it's okay to be upset, it's okay to get mad, angry, frustrated. But he said, and my dad is not a sports guy, and when I tell him this, he don't even remember a lot of times he says this, but he was like, it's okay to feel all those things. He was like, but the superstars get over it quicker than the average people. They can get upset, frustrated, mad, whatever, but then they get over it quickly when other people are still harping on that.
Yeah.
Right? And it makes me think about growing up in Illinois. Michael Jordan
Yeah.
would miss a whole bunch of shots, but at the end of the game, he didn't care. He forgot about it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you said that. That's
So I heard that too. You got to have amnesia. You got to forget what happened. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, you can't be scared. Like last time this happened. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But you have to speak to yourself and know your voice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that sign. If you say that in your mind, you still hear your voice. That's the voice that you need. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's talk about stage presence, right? I think that is, to me, that is music. It has to be up there too. But I think stage presence is a big thing too, right? Because you can hear the music and then live and it's not the same, right? So how would you say important stage presence is, and then explain your stage presence?
Stage presence is very important. Like,
Okay.
Because people have an idea. Once they hear your music, they already have a preset idea of what they expect from you.
Yep.
So the only thing I say is, just go out there and believe in yourself and believe in your music or whatever you're doing,
Yep.
and it'll naturally come out.
Got you.
What I do is I pick out people, and I try to make everybody think that I'm
You're
speaking
talking to them?
directly to them. You know what I mean?
You heard that? Okay.
So, that's
Wow. I've been to some of his concerts and shows before. And then honestly, it would start, and I remember one time, it was recently, people were like, what is he gonna sound like? And then by the end, everybody's Kumbaya, Yahweh. Everybody's singing it at the end and waving their hands. And that's just a testament to what I've seen you do and everything that you're saying. I've seen that in reality, truthfulness with that.
Yeah,
I think
because
that's
people don't
important.
really know what to expect from
Yeah.
me. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
that's the good part about it.
yeah. But nowadays too, with any artist, you're not sure because it can be good or bad though. You can think, oh, I heard this song and it's great, and then you see them in person and it's just like, this is not
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah, but another thing forgot to mention, another thing I do is pretend that there's 10,000 people out there every
Gotcha.
time.
Okay.
It could be two,
Right.
it could be 20.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But just pretend like it's 10,000 people out there every time.
So you said that when you did some shows overseas, it was like 3,000 kids and stuff like that. Like again, I've seen it, which is amazing. And then we've all had places or opportunities where we start things and it wasn't a lot of people. How do you approach that even when it's a big audience or a small audience? Because I've know personally some artists and people that got discovered when there was like 5 people there. And it was done on purpose because they wanted to see how that person would perform or how they would act when there wasn't a lot of people there. How important do you think that is to like give your all with the performance, regardless if it's 1 or 3,000 people there?
Like I said, you always perform like it's 10,000 people out there. You know what I mean? So it's important to, if you believe in yourself, you're going to do it regardless if anybody sees you. You know what I mean? So that's the importance of believing in yourself.
Got it.
You know, and if it's one person out there cheering for you, focus on them then.
Yep. One
You know what I
person.
mean? So it's going to happen.
And you never, especially now, man, like with social media and everything, you don't know who that person is or what following they have, or they can shoot a video and cut it up and edit it and you go you really don't know, or you don't know who knows who. So, okay, I can see that. So, and just a couple more things, like, let's talk a little bit about like working, or do you have a manager or management team? Do you work by yourself?
I do most
it?
of my stuff by myself, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So
Do you prefer it that way now, or would you
I mean,
rather?
I prefer it right now at this point.
Okay.
But when it gets overwhelming or too much, then I go look.
For some help with that.
Yes.
Okay. So how do you go about like booking your shows, or how do people do that?
Well, off of social media, they see off social media and they ask me, you know,
Okay.
DM me and ask me,
Okay.
What do I require, all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? So
Okay.
that's how I do it. I really don't go looking out for stuff. You know?
I've never known him to do that. Yeah, ever. And then he's having stuff all the time. But anyway, go ahead.
So I mean, they usually just come,
Okay.
ask. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm sure I could go out and ask, but I prefer that. And there's a lot of times I don't do stuff because I don't just do stuff just to do stuff.
Just to do it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I do it because, is that a right fit for me? Am I a right fit for them? You know what I mean? So
Okay. I can understand that. So when you're recording, like, let's go back to that. When you're recording, because I wanted to ask you this too, and I kind of forgot.
okay.
I think, like, I heard your music, right? And I understand like the vibe and everything that comes with it. Your recording process when you're making a song, because I know some people that when they're trying to do a song, when they're actually recording it, not the writing process or coming up with the ideas, when they're actually recording, I've heard people say they've sat on stuff for weeks or months. Is it like the same session? Is it be multiple days? Is it months? Is it weeks?
So
or
it
does
used
it
to
just come?
It used to be like I'd do a song and then I'd just put it out,
Okay.
like right there.
Okay.
But now I notice like, ooh, because mine is organic,
Got it.
I need to slow it down and listen. You know what I mean? So
Got it.
I record it, maybe half of it, maybe some of it.
Mm-hmm.
Drive down the road with what I have and think of stuff and how it sounds in the car, and then come back, go in there. Like I just finished one today, and the date on there was like August 12th.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So I just finished it today before I even came here. So
Got it. So you look at that as like, I mean, that's basically for newer artists or entrepreneurs. That's your product,
that's right.
right?
Yeah.
So if you put in your brand and your name on it and putting it out there, you care
Right.
about how it looks or how it
Right.
comes. Okay, I can
You
understand
know,
that.
and before I used to put it out there, and then like once I put it out there, it's out in the universe. It's out there.
Yeah.
Like, and I'll be like, ooh, oh my god. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the
Yeah.
time, you might think, oh, that's tight, that's fire, whatever.
Yep.
A month later, you'd be like, ooh.
Mm.
A year later, you might be like, ugh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So once I'm gone, my music lives on. So I just
Correct.
want to make sure that it's up to par for me. You know what I mean?
I understand
so, So like the song Pressure, it just got nominated. It's been out for 2 years.
Mm. Got nominated for what?
International
Wow.
artist.
International.
Song.
Wow. Wow. And it's been out for 2 years.
It's been out for 2 years. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. As
And
far
so
as
and so, just because you have a song, you can. Not everybody heard that song. Just because everybody in Atlanta heard that song doesn't mean
absolutely.
nobody else heard it.
Yep.
So you got to just keep pushing, keep
Yeah.
pushing, keep pushing.
Mm.
At the end of the day, do you want that to represent you?
Right. Wow. Big thing. Okay. Okay. I can see that. That's making me think about a lot of stuff. Stuff that I got going on, stuff that I'm doing. It's making me think about some things. Cause I'm on this stage right now where I would say I would kind of call it like doing it ugly and unorganized. Just because I'm trying to get myself to in a repetition and in the habit of doing more things. But kind of like what you're saying, letting it be organic, not having it so much planned out, you know? Cause I literally, like, honestly, I had questions down here. I didn't ask you none of those questions that I had. I didn't ask you any of those questions that I had. I should have, but I didn't. But I think just for me, I know where the point that I'm at, that helps for me because I want it to flow a little bit more. But I can understand that, especially putting out your product. But at the end of the day, it's the same because before this goes live, it's going to be edited and all those other things too. So I'm not just going to just put it out there like that. Okay. So I appreciate your time, man.
No problem.
That was
man.
awesome.
Anytime, man.
That was great.
We don't always have to talk about music or anything like that.
I know.
I mean, I'm versatile in a lot of different stuff. You know?
I know you are. I know you are. But like I said, I do appreciate you doing that. It means a lot. Before we go, like, give your social media. You can give your websites, music, whatever you want people to check out, wherever you want them to go. And then we'll go out to the music, to your song.
You can look at Jace Bombero, JACEBOMBERO, all social medias. You know what I mean? Just Google it, you'll see it. And listen to the new music. I'm working on new music right now. Season 1, Afro hymns. You know what I mean? So it's got like choir feel to it, reggae feel to it, pop feel to it. All
What is
mixed.
it? What is it again?
What?
It's called reggae. What?
Afro hymns.
Afro hymns.
Season 1.
Afro hymns season 1. Heard it here first.
That's right.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. This is Pressure, right?
Yes, sir.